Might as well just get back into it. Oh wait, yep, right there. Yep. Oh. We are so back, chat. How the fuck do I have all these bullets, man? No, there we go. Oh, wait, no, stupid. They were all down there. Yep. Okay, and I have 3 empty slots. Cool. Maybe I... Do I have any stun batons? It looks like I don't. Never mind. Wait, I already have auto injectors equipped? I think I do. Oh. Okay. Alright, yep. A lot of bodies down there. Yep, I can't go there. I have to go... Wait, oh, this way. Somebody's still watching these fucking cameras. Wait, what room is that? Do I know? Do I take this maintenance key? It'd be really funny if I just put that away without using it. Holy shit. It's full. What up, go? Okay, I just didn't use the key. Cool. I don't know where I can go. No, gotta go up here. Gotta go up here. Also, I forgot why there's... I don't know why there's a delay. I realized there's a delay that's 15 seconds, so... Dude, we gotta play Fortnite Rank sometime soon. The new season... I don't even think I played a single game, but that battle pass looks so good. It looks so good. I'm hyped. Especially Magneto. I didn't think I was gonna like the Magneto skin, but it actually looks kind of fucking cool. And I'm like extra excited about like the... What's his name? Oh, Megalodon. His glider looks really good. The shark, especially the other variants of it. So cool, man. I'm sorry, what? There's a chain sword? I didn't even see that. I need to go look at that real quick. Well, not now, obviously, but later. Angry note. Is his name Mad Max Mediocre Guy, or do you just call him the Mad Max Mediocre Guy? I thought he was just like a Rust variant. Oh no, there's Rust Lord, and his name is just Rust. Because I know who you're talking about. That's the dude with the Metallica shirt. Last rank reward for surviving. Ooh. I know what I'm gonna be doing after this. You don't even know his name. That's how lame he is. He's just some fucking guy. Who cares? Oh, it's not Rust? You know, there is one skin that I hate, and I like the other stuff that comes with the skin, like the glider and the back bling, or not the back bling, the harvesting tool. It's that P. I hate the 3 Ps in a pod. Oh my god. Shit makes me so mad. I hate how they always have one ass skin every season. It's always the joke skin, man. Just like, oh, Megalodon. The mediocre Max Mad guy. I like Megalodon. I think that skin's kind of hard. Not the final variant, but his original. Especially once he gets the color variants, it's really nice. Ooh. Yep. Doors are locked. Ooh. Crazy ass music. Chill out. Just said all doors to require a visible light to open. Looks like Matt if you're a mediocre guy. Oh yeah, yeah. Remember to equip so the door sensors let you in. Ask Adler ahead of time if you need one. He's using the quarters on the 8th floor these days. I would love a repair patch. I think I forgot to take the flashlight module. I'm gonna run past all these guys. Hey guys. Actually, I didn't even give a fuck. Is that what he's supposed to be? He's a little mascot guy. I do really like his glider though, especially the yellow variant. It does look nice. No, it's this one. Yep. I need to put. Yep. Do I not have a? I know I had one. Okay, yeah, and then the variants for that level 1 skin too are so good. His theme sounds like Sheen. Oh yeah, I forget most of them do have themes nowadays. Planet Sheensy. Yeah, Machinists, dude, so fire. They were cooking with that one. I don't know why, but sometimes they've been hitting with these level 1 skins. Like Cerberus was sick. He has the bike too. I'm like, oh my god. And then I got Korra. I like literally got I literally got Cerberus and Korra. I didn't get the Ascended Korra, like Avatar State. But it was pretty good. This one I definitely like have an itch. Like I need to 100% this one. Because it is just so good. Best viewers on... Can't even say it. Best viewers right here. Damn. Oh, you did tell me about that. Yeah, you got the... when you got the Vicroy. I feel like I'm stupid. Where... There was a flashlight module, and I had it. There's no way I threw it away. That would be the stupidest thing I could ever imagine doing. Especially for this situation right now, where I need it. Also considering the storage box is, like, unlimited. But no, I mean, I probably did. What a dipshit, dude. Yeah, the coded variant, too. Insane. I'd also really like it if the later variants you can flip the thing up and down, which I think you can. Just like, dude. Seriously, they were fucking cooking on that one. Somebody important was there for that board meeting when they were showing off that battle pass, and they made shit happen. Oh yeah, owl key, yep. No, I know. I was talking about the later variants. It like automatically has it down. I'm guessing you can just like flip it back up. They're pretty good at the customization nowadays, which is really cool. Also, speaking of masks, the Magneto one is also... I'm so nervous that I like threw this shit away, because that would be genuinely so fucking stupid. Hey guys, sorry, I gotta walk past you. Bye. Alright. Okay. Man, I tell you, the day they make it so those fucking enemies can go walk through doors, I'm done. It's over. Because I can just ignore them. Here we go. Uh-oh. Running in here. Hopefully no one's here. Oh, somebody's. Definitely. Hey, hey, hey. Settle down, you. Not what I was trying to do. Oh, hey. Oh, great. The lock is defective and can't even be opened. So I just did that for no reason, I guess. And I really don't want to go down this hole. Do I? Okay. Not a prompt. The Plants vs. Zombies pea shooter. It's fucking great. If you really like Garden Warfare, I mean, go at it, man. I'll... Yeah, you were on top of it, yeah. Shout out Garden Warfare and Christina Applegate. Dude, I haven't played Plants vs. Zombies in so long, but I did see the fucking Zach Scott's Game guy. He's still like, I think he's on episode like 2000 almost of Plants vs. Zombies 2 on like the mobile port of it. Insane. Insane. I don't know how you can be playing Plants vs. Zombies that much. I The game's cool, and I like it, but I don't think there's that much depth to it. Oop. Hey, hey. Oh, you fucker. Stomp that bitch out. Oh, and I have all these shotgun rounds. Hold on, wait. If I reload, and I open up a slot, and I take the repair spray, hell yes. I think I can also... Yes, nice. Alright, I'll feel better in a little bit, hopefully. Yep. The full-on Fortnite Plants vs. Zombies collab. If only they didn't release 4 skins at a time for collabs. Now that would go crazy, truly. Stomp 1. Stomp 2. Yes. Fortunately, I was scared of the shotgun shells to pick up this fuse. Does now be soldier skin with pants at button. You know, that would be pretty good. Because you could, there's so many different types of fucking zombies too. You could give it like 80 variants, pretty much. And no space to carry shotgun rounds. Ooh, I'm kind of scared though. Go away. No, she didn't see me. Hello. Oh shit. You fucker. Bye. I gotta go the other way. Sorry, guys. Whoop, actually I have nowhere to go though, too, so... I guess we just... Yes. Stomp 1 out. Stomp 2 out. Nope. Yeah, that's the middle. Oh, it's a piano room. Would overflow, including an upstairs. That would be cool. I see. I'm really nervous, and I feel like I should look this up if I totally bone myself. It says there's gonna be some things that require the flashlight module. Easter. What if Elster was named Easter and Signalis was about hunting Easter eggs? This would be a lot more fun game. It'd be about two lesbians finding Easter eggs together. Instead, it's some psychological fuck you fest where nobody gets to be happy. Let's see. I like how I didn't type Signalis when I was looking that up. I just like, is it possible to miss the flashlight module? Instead, it's a big fun hide-and-seek game where you have to go find the Easter eggs, and that's all. Nothing really sad. Oh, yes, I need that. 5 shots. I'm gonna have to run in the darkness. Oh, great. It's too dark to see. Awesome. Ooh. And I got a whooping pretty bad there. Oops. Alright, heal up, Grilly. I got shit to do. Also gonna have to run past this big fucking bitch. You are not. You are. Thank God. Oh no! Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. I'm just running. I'm running. I'm fucking running. Woo! Hey, watch it. Oh no, oh no, oh no, definitely not. Later. Juking your ass. Ooh. I feel like I need to leave that room. I do seem to be in a bit of a predicament. I don't know where the fuck I'm supposed to go right now. There's so many enemies. Adjust the frequency to 53. I think I would also turn on my radio module. Come on, nope, I was right there. God damn it. It's too many Easter bunnies, dude. You saw those eggs in the other room? I need to go in that room. 186. Come on. Fuck with it. Toggle radio. Oh, Kiwi. Okay, it was 186, right? I'm not stupid. Oh yeah, it definitely is. Let's see what they want to tell me. Ow. Oh, no, we gotta go. That's... I have a feeling that that is not healthy. Come on, swing and a miss! I gotta go past there. 126. Okay. We gotta be brave, guys. 126. It's gonna not be fun on the ears either. One. Right on the money. Don't know what that's supposed to do for me. Okay, so that was a cool painting. Is that really all it was? I was kind of fucked up though. That was crazy. I guess that's how I damaged them, so I just quickly switched the frequency. 126 Easter bunnies. And the door is locked! Oh wait, no, I unlocked it. Fuck you, bitch. I'm gone. 126. World as a fuck. 100 and... Or, like, 2,286,000,000 dead Elsters. Look at all these. Look at those dead fucking people. I also love that I am not allowed to progress in certain rooms just because it's too dark. Now I get it. I definitely do. But also, come on, please, please. The looping lift, okay. Maybe I... Oh, it does? The frequency shows which one you need to shoot, but how do I know which one I need to shoot? Because obviously, yeah, it's like a little game. You switch to the frequency. I just kind of left and came back and left and came back, and I did the game 3 times. Yeah, this is the Signalis Easter Special. Elster Special. Am I stupid? Yes, I am. I'm on the wrong floor, too. I need to go up and get a little more ammo. I also need to stop wasting so much ammo. Also, I really need to figure out where that flashlight module went. I feel like such a dipshit, because it's somewhere. I know I had it at some point, and I just didn't use it, I guess. Overcapacity, come on. I'll just take 5, and then I will reload that. I got that fuse through lines. Oh, you know what? I did see that. You're right. Yeah, we're both fighting for our lives right now. Yeah. See, I am kind of curious what would happen if I ripped a stick of thermite in, it's not a flare, of course, so it's understandable if it wouldn't work, but I wonder what would happen if I did that in a dark room. Because normally I wouldn't give a shit, but it literally blocks me from opening doors if it's too dark in the room, which, again, makes sense, but I'm also like, come on. I'm sure I could stumble my way around while I'm getting stabbed like 8 times. I could do that in real life, I'm sure. Definitely don't ask me to put it to the test, though. Alright, let's go see what's going on with that funky-ass room. What up, guys? Which room is it? On the end. Here we go. Hey, guys. Hey, guys. Oh. Nope. Oh, no. Okay, that's where I came from. Father Snake's right. Who's to say? What up, ladies? Ah, okay, yeah, you definitely slapped the shit out of me on that one time. I thought I could be just a little bit greedy and slither past. Ooh, shit. Nah, I'll keep that. There actually was one or something somewhere. I forgot where that was. But either way, I have repair spray plus, and I have these 2 auto injectors that'll help out. Speaking of which, it'd be great if I equip them. Oh, no. No, that's not what I want to equip right now. I need to try these bad boys out. Wait, hold on. Equip this, and then just click use. Yep. Oh, what? Okay, so I have to do 511. Okay, and I need a key. Can I just... Oh, whoa, I can... Okay, so I have 3 options. Cool. I definitely need to go into the repair bay and try this out. It is this room, right? Nope. I just keep fucking with these guys. You know, 70 storm circles doesn't sound too bad, honestly. Oh, I can't use it here. Fuck you. Ooh, hey guys, sorry, my bad. My bad. I'm walking away. I feel like I'm just running around with my fucking head cut off. Oh, 120. Can't. See, like, I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm sorry, I'm just looking shit up real quick. All I need to see is if I have to be on this floor to get the flashlight module, which it should be. I've seen it before, I swear. Did I just not pick it up? Am I like that much of a dipshit? Probably. Alright, good luck with the work, Father Snakes. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. Don't fall asleep. Ooh. Oh, shit! Oh, yeah, she was closing in real fucking tight. That was scary. Alright. Let me see how high I can go. Oh, hold on, there's a fuse box in here. Ooh, I have definitely read a manual that tells me how to do this puzzle. Or at least like a guide on how to do this. Nope. Proper disposal of courses, attention. Date, time of incident, all the time. Location of incident, medical wing. Elf keeps using my wrench and misplacing it. Okay, I know. That was from the last chapter. Lighting malfunctions. Oh, did not mean to do that. Oh, they... Oh, I just have to get it to the voltage. Stupid ass boy. Stupid fuck ass boy. Boom. 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 Nope. Boom. That's way too much. Still no. What about this one? We're both at 120. Okay. So I'll bump that up. That's too much. That's far too much. Nope. What about this? Subtracts. Subtracts again. How many times is it gonna fucking subtract the voltage? How do I even get to 230? That's a minus 10 versus this is a minus 100. Plus 20 minus 60. That's minus 120. Nuts. Plus 30. What the fuck? I thought these closed it out. No. Too dramatic shift. The fuck is the deal with the switch? Why does it just like pump this shit up so much? So close. No, you're okay. Don't worry. Leave it to the stupid puzzle boy. You got a Fortnite game to focus on, okay? So you better keep up to it. I know what I'm gonna do though. I am going to a pen and paper, like most of the puzzles for this game. So you know it's a good fucking puzzle game. I have to write this shit down all the time. Alright. We have A and a B. Initial value, 120, 120. Okay, let's test switch 1. Plus 600. Plus 120. Okay, switch 2. That is a plus 720. 27A, and then that is a 240 increase. 960, that's an 840 increase. Plus 480. It's a 360. Wait, 12, 24, 36. Oh my. Okay, so there is a pattern going on here. Okay, switch 4. Okay, that's our first negative. Plus 30. I feel like I definitely gotta use that in the end. That one's minus 50. Switch 5. Okay, I need so 190 decrease. And meanwhile, that is an 80 increase. Oh, dude, I love seeing people bitch about the cars in the fucking Fortnite season. It's so funny. I've been seeing so many clips of like people trying to box in and they just get ran over by a fucking dump truck with a grenade launcher attached to it. It's so... Oh, it brings me joy every time. That's a minus 60. Okay. 7, minus 100, minus 10. 10. Oh, how do I do this? That is the base for everything, so A. Let me just switch 5 again, switch 5. Yep, that's an 80. B minus 10. Then. Oh, I'm a fucking genius. Yep. Ugh. All puzzles can be defeated with a pen and paper. Great, hopefully that means good things. Guy jumped into my car, then jumped out and fell to his death. What a fucking idiot. It certainly saved you a lot of time. Right, I'm also gonna save with a scary ass screeching in my ear hole. A little bit of... Cool, so I'm looking at the chainsaw right. Oh, okay, mediocre, this fucking guy. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. That chainsword is kind of hard. I will be the first to say. That shit is fire. No, hold on. I need to go back there and grab something. Apparently not the flashlight module. I still feel like I'm crazy. There's no way that just didn't happen. Why am I down the ladder? I wonder if they really changed anything though. I mean, the quickest way to find out. We are going to run there. What the fuck? Where are you going? Ooh, I actually do see an item over there that I could make a run. Just a little tippy toe, tippy toe, tippy toe, tippy toe, and go. Hello, hey guys, just hanging out. One of the girls, yep. Deuces. God damn it. Don't hit me, no. Ooh. Doing some research. Oh my god. Okay. Now I gotta go on. I know what I needed to do now. I have the fuse. in the thing. I just have to go down a floor. We have to go to the secret 8th floor. Oh, it doesn't open from this side, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Hello. Oh, damn. Hey. Watch it, lady. What about this? Yes, I can go in here. Is it dark? Is it dark? Probably shouldn't go in there yet. That means I go up here. Oh, great. Oh, great. I think I can loop the fuck out of you bitches. Later. Yep, I'm looping the shit out of you bitches too. Bye. Flashlight module. Dude, you fucking 1 on 7 HP? I just got the flashlight module. We are so back, Christian and Fool fans. Adler. Hey guys, sorry, gotta go. Ducking and dodging you. Ducking and dodging you. Oh shit, nope. I was thinking about it, I'm like, nah. Oh, you're like, damn, how many fucking people are there in there? Holy shit. I gotta give them a minute to kind of figure that out. Oh my god. That was crazy. Hey man, at least I got that fucking flashlight on. Jeez, man. I didn't think I was ever gonna get that. Go elsewhere for a second, just kind of pick my nose. Oop. Oh, I really wish I didn't pick up the hunter key first. Damn. Holy shit, we got to go. Not that way. On the other home. Where am I even going again? Oh yeah, I have to go up there. Yep, please don't swing on me. Later. Don't swing on me either, please. Oh my god. Oh, she's wildly swinging. We got to go. We must go to the safe haven. How much shotgun? I have 13 shotgun rounds. Oh my goodness. At least like flashlight module. I'm definitely gonna save her here. Progress file. Ooh. Status is not looking good. There we go. Okay, plan of attack. Well, now I can go through the repair bay. That would be cool. Maybe I should go do that. Might be, you know, healing stuff. No, there's definitely another bitch in here. Oh, I need that weapons case, actually. Damn, why is my inventory so full of junk? Equip. Like, give me an extra slot. Damn right it won't. Oh, so I gotta use that healing spray. We are so back. I fucking knew it. High recoil, strong knockback. That'll probably pack a fucking punch, though. That's a really nice looking revolver, too. I love the weapon design in these games. It's so nice. I said these games, like it's not just one singular game made by that guy. Oh, well, snub nose. Einhorn. High damage, knocks back enemies and shields with ease. Oh, yeah. I can just... Cool. So I also know I have a fuck ton of those, too. That's what it was. That's what it was. You crawled through the fucking floor, you bitch. Fuck you guys, too. I gotta go. Lethal Company in Fortnite. Kind of fire, though. I gotta admit, that's just kind of fire. I thought it was I thought it was a joke when somebody told me. And then, apparently every Fortnite leaker, especially, all of the credible ones, were talking about it with the little company jig. I think Lethal Company is a cool game. Zekers is probably insanely fucking, like, stupid rich now off that one fucking game. You call it raps there, honestly. But their other games are also really good. I need to play some of them. Like, It Steals. Let's see. It Steals. What was the other one? There's one where you play as, like, a little guy in a hotel. It's kind of like a horror comedy. That game seems really cool. You know, fuck Thermite, man. I don't need Thermite. Among Us X Fortnite. Dude, I can't believe I didn't get that. If they ever do it, I need to get the Among Us. Like, literally worst day of my life is when I wasn't able to get it. I did think it was funny when somebody thought that there was another Fallout skin. Just because of how, like, absurd it was. Here, I'm also gonna save again. Sorry, I just saved. Saved like 3 times this session, but... Got the Einhorn. That shit's so cool. I kind of want to, like, take this out for a little test drive. I might shelve this. And I might equip some bullets. That'll be 2 rounds. Or 2 clips, so I don't think I'll be able to use that much. I think it might just be like a 1 shot, you're done. If I need any more damage, I'll just take the shotgun and bring it back up here. I definitely need to get that island key. Where the fuck was that? That was somewhere... Change floor... Adler bedroom. Oh, it's the Protector Archive, so let's go through all that shit. Okay, floor 7. Down 1 more. Oh, fuck you. That was a good hit she got on me. I'm hitting right. Yes, I am. Sorry, I'm gonna duck and dodge you. Bye. Nope. Yep. Yeah, don't even worry about how to do that. I accidentally figured out how to beat that thing. Oh, it's still on this floor. Okay, cool. Don't hit me. Oh, you fucking bitch. Oh my god, please stop. Yep. Ooh, what are you? A workshop key. I think I know where that goes. There we go. Okay, floor 6. Later. Dude, she chugging. It keeps arrow to Cuban. Okay, never mind. Thanks. Oh, 46. Holy shit. Who's Dragula? I'm guessing she's like a cool vampire. Oh, ooh, and I cannot wait to see where that workshop thing goes. But just in case I get slapped, I know I have another auto ejector, I think. Maybe not, we'll see. Nope, wrong way. Oh, okay, you're talking about a song, okay. Sometimes I forget Fortnite has all of that shit now. That's kind of fucking hard. Ah, you mad? You getting blocked. You getting blocked by your friends. No, let me in the booking. Oh wow, that was like sent me all the way back to full. Storage and Star. It is recommended to allow some officers to own military weapons as fetish objects to stabilize their persona. Damn. Freaky ass. Books on history or mythology work well as fetish objects. I see we're getting a lot of fetish stuff here. What's going on with that? Sending your way. Heard that. Hold on. Nope, UMG immediately was like, nah man, we're not doing that. I guess I'll go fuck myself, whatever. I didn't even want to listen to it anyways. It's okay, I'll open up the full YouTube link later. It's probably for the best. I have UMG blow up my YouTube, not my YouTube. Well, I guess both, yeah, because I do upload all these shit to YouTube. So what the fuck do I do here? Oh. 142, heard that. Then I guess I switch my module over to 142. Come on, work with me. Okay, which means I should probably shut this off. Okay. So I need a cassette tape to play that. Now, where the fuck am I gonna find a cassette tape? Hmm. Been through there. Pretty sure that's one of the animal doors. But I can't find out. You can only find the SpongeBob one? It's kind of fucking crazy. We are the champion of the world. Rolling Shuttergate. Okay, it looks like I kind of went through all this. I need to unlock that for sure. And you can unlock that one. Yep, okay. Know what I got to do. Well, if only they could make it easier. Damn, that bitch be moving. I really just kind of want to like... Okay, nope, we have like no chance. I'll just go the long way around. Oh no. Oh yeah, you all missed. You all suck. Fuck you all. Bye. Oof. Every time, it's just like, God. I don't need those little kissies. They're doing on me. Which ones were just dead in the first? I think it's that one where dude is dead, or maybe it's this one. Nah. Oh no, it's definitely not that one either. Oh, I guess I got to go. Oh, fuck you. You did not hit me there. I barely got hit by that hitbox. Loser. Yeah, don't you hit me too. I don't like that you're flashing like that. You better chill the fuck out, buddy. Okay. Library key required. Lips of the patties don't burn, so the crab isn't mad on the back of my spatula. Falk. Command control unit with the Falcon. Generation 6 high-tech bioresonance command unit. Damn, she's tall as fuck. Oh, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Alex Diary. Your girl. Cool. The character of your series is a white-haired girl, right? Kind of crazy. Maybe the real Easter egg was the Fool verse all along. And faded black. Wrap it up, guys. We fucking figured it out. Box. I do not want to go in that dorm at the moment. Okay, all these are keys that I didn't have the thing to. A shutter handle, a winch handle for steel door shutters. That does not sound nice. I love gals with white hair, not from age. Come on, fool. You don't like old women? I know that. Can I like put the winch back or something? No, I definitely can't. I wonder what the fuck I'm gonna need that for then. What the hell? Wait. What the? Why didn't I go in here? Whoa. No, I just... Okay. Thank God I did not use that. Jeez. Lima forming. Forming via the climate? No, I don't like old people. Me too, man. The ocean world ravaged by war. Red desert. Oh, interesting. Like a little lore room. A briefing room. What? Is there something I have to do here then? Alright. Time to go. Time to run. Damn, they just fucking chugging, man. Holy shit. Yes, please let me in there. Hello? Please nobody be in here. Mineshaft access elevator. Oh. Well, people like complains about food service inside the restaurant for the meal they were invited for. Listen, man, I get it. I am a server. Too many fucking dipshits abound. Truly. Oh, open the door! Woo! Well, that hurt a little bit. Kind of a lot, but... everything's open. Cool beans. Right. I feel like I just need to put all the pieces together. I think I've explored everything that I can without getting keys. I used the hunter key, I used the island key, I have to figure out what a shuttle handle's for. Let me just dump all that, dump that. I have tape, shutter handle, a weird, scary obelisk. Shut the fuck up. I feel that though. I'm thankful I get a lot of nice ones, but there are some that's just like, I like literally want to beat you up. I hate you so bad. Thankfully, it's not every day I feel like that. Some of them are not awful people, and I love those people. Also saying you're right. Perfect. I'm glad you're just constantly giving me this context. I will... oh.
What the fuck? Who the fuck asked you? Shut the fuck up!
I think I paused at the worst part and started saying an end sound. It's okay. You wouldn't send me that. Anything like that. Rolling shot. I gotta figure out how to get that. Oh, with the handle. Stupid ass boy. You use the shutter handle for the shutter gate. Give me that. Give me that shit back. Now. Yoink. Alright. I'm gonna equip that. I'm gonna pop a cap in a bitch's ass. I know it's just one in there too, so I got a B7. I'm just gonna start fucking swinging. Mess with the wrong bitch, I promise. Okay, perfect. I'm like almost there. Oh, that's so sad for you. Oh, perfect. I don't have to crank that or anything. Oh Another safe room. Wow. How great. So I'm sure shit's about to get cray. Yeah, I think that's me. I think I'm a Yule. Low cost, general purpose. Biomechanical with a polyethylene shell. With a backbone of workforce. Wait, there's no way. I think I'm a star unit, not a Euler. What the hell is this? Is this Moonlight Sonata? I think it is. I can't remember. Classic horror game. Pick up that key and save in the piano room. This is a very nice safe room, though. Love this. I picked up the owl key, so I'm like ready to go. Except I won't be ready to go. Because I'm fucking donezo for now. Like keeping these streams like an hour and 30 minutes. I should probably eat some food, that'll be good. Anyways, my goat. My gracious goat. Mr. Fool. Standing by me all this time. Bless your heart. True one. Respect you. I can't wait to see what you're cooking up next time. AK probably tonight or tomorrow or the day after. Who knows? You're pretty quick on it. But later, dog. You have a good one. And like I said, I'll probably be texting you later. Goodbye.